Hey everyone, this is Peter Hall,
My name's Josh Hall.
and today we watched a movie called The Unicorn Store. It's Brie Larson's directorial debut, and she also starred in the movie. And it came out in like 2017. It really was like when it came out, it was only on like the indie venue or whatever. And after it came out, it fell into obscurity, and what brought it out was like her becoming a big star with Captain Marvel. Anyway, I found out about this movie because I saw reviews for it online.
Geeks and Gamers.
Geeks and Gamers talked about it. I saw their video. Another YouTube video called Salty Cracker talked about it. The reviews online absolutely trashed this movie.
It is pretty bad.
Yeah, but me and Josh watched it watched it tonight. It's on Netflix. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the movie now because like Netflix and Brie Larson are accused of like harassing a guy who gave a bad review of the movie.
I heard he just gave an outright review of the movie.
Yeah, he said the movie was kind of meh. Anyway, the premise of the movie is that Brie Larson's character is this woman named Kit who's an aspiring artist, but nobody takes her seriously. Nobody likes her work. She gets kicked out of art school after her latest piece gets a bad review by art critics, by her professors. And so a central theme of the movie is the unicorn, because her character is obsessed with unicorns. And ever since she was a little girl, she always wanted to have a unicorn, apparently. Her parents are ultra liberal, like they work for a company called Emotion Quest or something that takes troubled youth out into the forest and for hiking and canoeing and stuff like that. Anyway, she moves back in with her parents after getting kicked out of art school because she fails or whatever. And so she's moping around, watching TV. There was like a funny commercial that said, "Women, are you bummed out about your periods or whatever? You can punch them out." It's a guy doing a feminine hygiene commercial, a period commercial. And then there's another commercial that's central to the plot. It's for a temp agency called Temporary Success. Temporary Success.
Obtain your temporary success today.
Yeah. And so like they have the spiel about...
Don't let anyone get in the way of you obtaining your temporary success.
Yeah, they have the spiel about how like temp agencies are great and stuff, and how qualification for hiring is super easy, etc. So then she's having dinner with her parents, and they start talking about like her I don't know, career options, because like they invite some guy named Kevin over.
They invite Dopender over.
Well, his name is Kevin, but
yeah, he'll always be Dopender to me.
It's the guy who did Dopender in Deadpool. But they invite this guy named Kevin over for dinner.
He was also in 30 Minutes or Less.
No, that wasn't him.
That wasn't?
No.
Oh.
That guy doesn't even sound like him.
Whatever.
The guy who was in 30 Minutes or Less is named Aziz Ansari. That's not him. Sheesh. Anyway, so she feels attacked by her parents. She feels like she basically has an emotional outburst, says that she has a plan about getting her life back together, and then goes into this robotic like repeat of like the message that she saw on the commercial about the temporary success agency or whatever. It was pretty funny. So she gets hired to work at Temporary Success for a PR firm, and immediately she's hit on by the vice president of the company named Gary. Don't remember what his last name is or if it's even mentioned. And there's this one line where he goes, "I'm vice president of the company, not of America, although maybe someday."
this movie had an annoying habit of overstating the obvious.
Yeah, like all the characters either overacted or underacted. And really, there was only like one somewhat sane character. My brother thinks that the guy must be a little bit insane to even put up with like Brie Larson's character Kit. It's this
Black guy named Virgil.
Yeah, black guy named Virgil. So he seems to have the most sanity of all the characters in the show. The other characters are somewhat airheaded and ditzy and even like crazy. Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie. He is the salesman for the Unicorn Store, which is the titular store of the movie. He actually saves this movie. A lot of his lines are hilarious. Like a lot
the
of
guy who did Virgil wasn't bad either.
Yeah, a lot of this movie is like funny, but I think unintentionally. Like
it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
the acting is horrible. Brie Larson's directing is atrocious. The dialogue ranges from like so bad it's cringeworthy to so bad it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So, basically, Brie Larson, Kit gets invited to this store called the Unicorn Store. It's just called the store or something. And, she meets Samuel L. Jackson's character, who's never named for some reason, but, he's the salesman for the store, the only employee of the store that we see. And so, like, she starts asking him, how do you know who I am? Why am I here? Are you going to murder me?
I have a theory that he is Santa Claus. Or that he works for Santa Claus, or Hagrid, or somebody.
Hagrid? Harry Potter isn't even mentioned in this movie. So she says, are you going to murder me? And then he says, Kate, this is a legitimate place of business, and the opposite of murder.
Well, she asked that because, like, her colleague at the temp store said, I'm going home when Kit invited her to dinner. She invited a colleague over out to dinner, and her colleague was like, I can't. I'm going home. There's a Dateline special on tonight. It's about single professional women who get raped and murdered, and I need to watch it. So that's why she asked about that.
Yeah, so basically, he promises
Everything
her unicorn.
Was just so random.
Yeah, he promises her a unicorn if she can prove that she's worthy to receive it. Like, she has to build a home worthy of a unicorn. So she goes to this lumber depot or whatever and starts and tries to buy some lumber. And so, like, the head guy there, like, I guess who she's talking to, I don't know if he's the head guy or not, but the guy she talks to is like, okay, do you have dimensions for it? And she's like, no. And so basically he's like, Jesus Christ, why did I get stuck with this lady? So then he calls in Virgil.
I don't think he really called Virgil. I think he was pretending to call Virgil because Virgil had no idea what she was doing or why she was there.
Yeah, but
like when he said, Virgil, there's a lady here who needs your help. He's like, damn it, Virgil, what's your 20? I don't think he was really contacting Virgil. I think he was pretending to send Kit on a wild goose chase.
Possibly. Yeah, so he totally blows her off. Sends her to find this guy named Virgil. So she finally finds him, like, she's peering
through. And he's the janitor. He's totally the wrong guy to, like, help her build her unicorn stable, but he ends up doing it anyway.
Yeah. so she's peering through, like, the stock shelves, and, like, Virgil's kind of creeped out about it. He's like, can I help you? So she starts telling him about how, like, she wants to build this stable, and the guy she's talking to, Joel or whatever,
talking about,
the guy she was talking to, Joel, she said, didn't want to help her, and so he sent her to see him, and so Virgil's like, why would Joel do that? Joel hates me.
That's why I think Joel didn't really contact Virgil, because he had no idea.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he wants me to die in some horrible power toils. So she finally wears him down and gets him to agree to help her build this stable. So she's like, so great. So there's this one point where she says, so you'll do it then? And he's like,
maybe I'll think about it. This movie was crap. My brother actually likes it unironically, but I
like the premise. The premise, it had a good premise. It just wasn't executed very well.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So he ends up coming out with her, and so she, as soon as he comes to her house, she rushes him through, and then like she absolutely like she avoids having him meet her parents, because she says, if my mom saw you, she'd think you're my boyfriend, then you'd be invited over for Christmas. He's like, no, I'm not doing Christmas. So then she starts talking about how she wants like a stable built for a horse that she wants to get, and they're in the basement, and he's like, okay, but I don't think a horse wants to live in your basement. She's like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
I don't even want to live
Come
here.
to think of it, I don't even want to live here. I don't want to live in my basement. So, then they go outside and they start, examining, like, this old, rotten playhouse that her father made for her when she was a little girl. And, she starts talking about, reconverting it into a stable. And so Virgil's like, that is a supremely bad idea! And she's like, yeah, you're right, it is 50% rotten, but we can still use some of the wood. So then she convinces him to, she finally convinces him to help her build the stable. So then she's all jumps up and down and says, yes, we're doing it, yes! So then she starts kicking the boards of her playhouse through, and she gets him to start doing it, and he half-heartedly does it. She's more enthusiastic about it. Her dad sees her and Virgil, kicking apart the playhouse that he built, and he's all depressed because he built it for her. So then her parents stage an intervention and ask her why she's like engaging in this construction project or whatever, what she's doing, and she freaks out and tells them to get out of her room. She's like, why are you in my space? And she makes them leave, and then like her parents tell her that they're going to talk about it later on Monday. So, and it switches back and forth between her life at home, her life at work, and then, like, her and Samuel Jackson's character talking about the unicorn that she's going to get.
Her and Virgil.
Yeah, her and Virgil. And her boss Gary is like, he's kind of like Bill Lundberg from the movie Office Space.
Virgil anyway, because Samuel L. Jackson and Virgil were the only good characters in the movie.
Virgil was some guy named Mamamoo or something. I don't know. Anyway, her boss is kind of like Bill Lundberg from or Lundberg. I don't know. Bill Lundberg from Office Space. If you're familiar with that movie, yeah, except creepier. He talks in like this boring monotone voice.
Remove all your layers.
Yeah, he talks in this boring monotone voice, but he asks her like all these creepy questions and makes kind of like these weird statements. So they start talking about like this line of vacuum cleaners that this company is promoting called Mystic Vax. And so she talks about how, like, at art school, they did fake commercials for McDonald's and IKEA, and how she came up with something called...
That was before she met Virgil, though.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just let me...
Sorry.
Stop interrupting. So then she says that she came up with this thing called McSalsa, because they had to do, like, fake commercials for McDonald's and IKEA. So she says, I came up with an idea for McSalsa, and he's like... You see, that's what's wrong with this company. There's like this gate. There's like this mini gate behind him.
Everyone in this company is so uncreative, and it is killing me.
Yeah. And like a couple of the women, like especially this blonde woman in her office, are real bitches. Like this blonde woman like freaks out because like I think she has a thing for Gary, and she thinks that Kit is trying to take Gary away from her.
I don't know. I think she and Gary are having an affair, and she's upset that Gary is. She thinks that Gary's obviously putting the moves on Kit, and she thinks Kit is trying to sleep with her boss to get ahead.
Yeah, she's like, Gary isn't gonna like choose your presentation for the Mystic Vax. You're nothing special. And then like, and when she's introduced, like, they're in the break room, and she's talking to some other lady about how like she can't use a sad profile picture for her dating profile. She's like, men want girlfriends who are happy and smiling like this. And she puts on a fake smile. So like, almost every character in this movie is like unlikable. The only likable characters, as far as I'm concerned, are Samuel L. Jackson's unicorn salesman character, and
who's weird, who's as weird as everybody else, but in a funny way.
Yeah, and then like
in a way that...
the handyman Virgil that helps her build the stable. They're the only likable characters.
Well, Samuel L. Jackson's as weird as everyone else, but in a way that is truly, genuinely funny, and it's not the humor that he gets out of you isn't because his acting is so bad it's hilarious.
He's the only thing in this movie that's intentionally funny. Like every other funny scene is unintentionally hilarious. I don't know, maybe her boss was intentionally funny too.
I think he's the comically straight, creepy guy.
Yeah. Comically serious, yeah.
Comically serious, creepy, but with a dash of creepiness.
Yeah.
Let's talk about when she introduces her idea for the Mystic Vac. She came to work dressed up like a Christmas tree.
Well, that was after like her parents took her out for that nature hike.
That was funny.
Yeah. Well, before that, her parents convinced her to go on this nature outing with a group of troubled youth, and so they go canoeing, hiking. They pitch up tents, and she's trying to make up a good show of like going along with her parents and being happy about what they're doing. And then she totally falls apart towards the end when it's nighttime and they're sitting around a campfire and they're doing this thing called the truth circle or whatever. And like beforehand, she talks to like these girls that tell her that the truth circle is bullshit and that all you have to do to get through it is make up crap and cry, or else
you have to go hiking with your inner spiritual self.
Yeah. So like one of the girls says, just make up bullshit and cry, otherwise they'll think you're blocking. So like she's the only one who's actually truthful, because she confesses to her parents that she wants a unicorn and she's gonna get one, etc., etc. And like her parents at first think she's joking, but then they think that she's gone crazy and whatever. So they get into a fight, and her mom storms off because like she pisses her mom off, and then like her dad tells her that he knew the kids were lying because like she brings that up. She's like, these kids are feeding you bullshit. You fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. What?
No, that's the same shirt. Never mind.
Okay, so she tells her parents that the other kids in the group were like, everybody else in the group was like feeding them bullshit, and she accuses them of falling for hook, line, and sinker. And her dad says that he knows the kids are lying, but that he allows it because it's easier for them than to deal with the truth of their troubled lives.
But that way it doesn't bring healing.
Right.
Let's talk about...
And then, like, when she comes back, like, she,
Let's talk about when she introduces the Mystic Vac.
Yeah, like, basically she just glues, like, a bunch of glitter and, like, confetti paper.
And she walks in dressed like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, she glues a bunch of glitter and confetti paper onto, like, the vacuum that they're advertising. And, yeah, she puts on this, like, weird, tasseled dress that looks like she's, wearing, like, it looks like she's wearing tinsel. It looks like she's wearing multicolored tinsel. It's like pink and green and
when she walks, it looks like it waves in the air, and it actually kind of looks like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, so she and this friend of hers, a coworker, and
two friends.
Yeah, one of her coworkers and a delivery guy help her with her presentation. They do like this performance art piece. They throw confetti and glitter everywhere.
One of my favorite lines, because it was so fucking stupid and made no sense, was, "This isn't a vacuum for your house, it's a vacuum for your soul."
Yeah. But I like the reaction of one of the executives, and, like, she throws confetti everywhere, and it lands on, like, his food, because they're having snacks at the meeting. And so he's like that, and, like, he has this, like, he visibly sighs and groans, and he has, like, this expression of disgust on his face. It's hilarious.
It on his bagel, and some of it got in his coffee.
Yeah, but it was funny.
Let's talk about the Asian.
And the presentation before that was just, like, this sexy woman in bikini doing, like, taking a selfie with her cell phone, holding a baby, and then kind of, like, nudging the vacuum cleaner with her foot. And so, like, they had this airheaded Asian executive going on about how hot the model is, and, like,
how she wants to be that hot. She's already attractive.
Yeah, she's already pretty good looking herself, but she wants to be as hot as the woman in the picture. So then, like, after they do their little performance art piece, like, the airheaded Asian executive, everybody at the conference says, "We're gonna go with the sexy model idea," and the airheaded Asian says,
The only thing I'm worried about is rainbows. In fact, I don't think I'll ever like rainbows again."
Yeah, because they had to, like...
This movie was terrible. It sucks.
Yeah, the art performance piece that they did for the vacuum had nothing to do with vacuum cleaning at all, or selling vacuum cleaners and accessory parts.
It looked more like a performance on a Broadway show in Las Vegas.
It was an avant-garde performance piece that had nothing to do whatsoever with vacuum cleaners. And so obviously she gets fired / she quits. So then she's bemoaning this to Virgil, and they're in, like, a restaurant. And so she starts bragging about how she has the secret that she can't tell him. Finally, after much prompting from him, she decides to tell him that she's going to get a unicorn. He thinks she's joking at first. Then he realizes that she's serious, so he starts questioning her sanity. So, the waitress comes up in this restaurant. She says, are you two ready to order? And he said, "No, not even close." So then she convinces him to go to, like, the warehouse where she met the unicorn salesman and, like, saw the store and whatever, and then, like, it's not there. So, like...
We've already seen this movie twice, and it's pretty torturous sitting through it 2 times.
Yeah. So, like, she's freaking out because she can't understand why it's not there. Virgil thinks that she was just scammed. And so, like, eventually, after her breakdown, she basically tells him to fuck off. She doesn't actually say that, but that's her attitude. And so, like, she walks away.
And he says
tells him that he can't really like her, and that he's just being with her out of obligation, pity, blah blah blah. And then like after that, she has a conversation with her mom where she admits that she's a selfish, entitled brat. And her mom says that one of the most adult things anybody can do is fail at something that they're truly passionate about.
Which was a pretty good line. And it's true.
So then she calls Virgil, doesn't actually talk to him, but leaves a message where she apologizes for being such a bitch. He actually, with help from her parents, ends up finishing the unicorn stable. They rebuild her childhood playhouse, and she had thrown away all her art pieces that she did over the years. They pull all of them out of the trash, paste them over the walls of the reconstructed playhouse. And then then she gets a call from Samuel L. Jackson's unicorn salesman again, and she's hesitant at first because he stood her up the night before after telling her that the unicorn was ready.
Because Virgil couldn't see it because he was a non-believer.
Yeah,
she took Virgil with her.
But she goes ahead and goes to meet the unicorn salesman. She actually meets with him this time. Gets to see the unicorn. Samuel L. Jackson's character tells her that he has another interested buyer. So she decides to give up the unicorn that she's wanted her entire life and let this other lady take it. Virgil walks in, sees the unicorn. They walk out of the store, and then this one lady shows up and says, "Is this the right place? I got this invitation to this store." And so they point her in, and then Virgil goes, "Holy shit, it's real." And Kit goes, "Yep," or something like that. And then the movie ends. So, yeah, this movie was very unfocused.
It's pretty awful.
It was sending mixed messages. It was trying to balance, the whimsy and magic of childhood and, wanting to believe that fantasies are real and stuff like that with the mundanities and harshness of adult life. It fails pretty spectacularly, but it fails pretty spectacularly, but I think it's actually pretty funny to watch.
Yeah.
And
unintentionally, maybe.
Yeah. I actually get the message that it was trying to convey, and I actually appreciate what the point that it was trying to get across. It had an interesting and good premise. It just wasn't executed well. That's its problem. But I think the movie is worth watching. It's on Netflix.
The problem is that Brie Larson is a horrible actress, and she's a worse director.
There are worse movies.
That's true. This movie did make me laugh quite a bit. Most of it was because it was unintentionally funny.
Yeah, but Samuel L. Jackson was the best thing about this show.
Samuel L. Jackson and Virgil.
Yeah. But Samuel L. Jackson got all the best lines.
That's true.
So yeah, this movie is worth watching. It's on Netflix. Check it out.